faithful, who trust, and who are listening to the guidance of infinite intelligence. It's only possible to the extent that we have learned to be silent within ourselves and to listen. This is why we practice. This is why we worship. This is why we meditate. And there's a whole other world, the world of the prison of egoism, the matrix of egoism. And to a great extent, and this will be covered later in the book in more detail, but we have the possibility of being free from the expectation of being continually undisturbed. You ever recognize that? Expectation in yourself, thinking, well, I'm a spiritual person. I do my spiritual practices. I love God. I shouldn't be disturbed. Why doesn't God just open my way? I thought, spirituality should be just a wide open road. But we keep getting hit by things that knock us off balance, things that we may resent, things that might cause us to blame others or ourselves. So this very foolish delusion, let's write this down, let's make a note of this. Let's recognize what a delusion it is to think that we can live this life in a continually undisturbed state. If we get past this, we will have put a lot behind us. And likewise, along with that, these are the basic lessons in Gnosology. Don't expect your life to go on without disturbance. Don't expect everyone to be continually approving of you. Don't expect continual and unvarying admiration from the world around you. Become attention rather than seeking attention. Become the eye of God. When we become attention itself, we are disconnected from the distorting mechanism of egoism. We are freed from these unrealistic expectations of constant pleasure, approval, and non-disturbance. When we have become attention itself, we are in a state of presence, and the soul is awake. Even when facing difficulty or loss, we are more spontaneously in harmony with the guidance and intelligence of spirit. And in the very last paragraph of this chapter, and this is why on the spiritual path you will not be preached to. You will be encouraged to observe yourself in a non-reactive way, to study your reactions, judgments, and opinions, to not give them so much importance, and to rely instead on that deeper self that is not enslaved by the false values of the world, the unconscious needs for attention and approval, but a self that exists under the auspices of divine mercy and compassion. And this is why on the spiritual path you will not be preached to. All the preaching that has gone on in churches and mosques and other places has had so far only limited benefit for humanity, because it hasn't undone the fundamental mechanism of ego, self-righteousness being foremost in many cases, and also, well, all the things we've talked about so far. You are what you think. The rest is just, meat and bone. If your thought is a rose, you are a rose garden. A person could meditate on the image of a rose. Some people might want to try to do that. Choose your favorite flower. Hold it in your mind's eye. Make that your zikr. Ya Allah. Never thought of that before. It would be beautiful. Because Allah's beauty is in the flower, and the flower's fragrance. And the eye is meant to recognize this beauty. As the Quran says, but for thee I would not have created the world. The beauties of existence, the beauties of nature, the beauties of humanity, the beauties of our friends and companions. All of that beauty is created for the one who can appreciate it. Yes, we have needs, we have wants. Let me emphasize, we have so many wants. And we've complicated our lives with these wants that mostly arise from the false self and from the false values of the world. Wants that arise from the false self and the false values of the world. God help me if it seems like I'm preaching, but this is how it is. It's descriptive. And instead, awaken to beauty, awaken to grace, begin to notice, become attention. Once again, because we cannot hear this too often, the sciences of wisdom are God's armies. By the way, he's describing the whole Mesnavi. The science of wisdom are God's armies by which he strengthens the spirits of the initiates and purifies their knowledge from the adulteration of ignorance, from their justice from the adulteration of bias, their generosity from the adulteration of ostentation, their forbearance from the adulteration of foolishness, and brings near to them whatever was far from them in their understanding of the hereafter, and makes easy for them whatever was hard for them in respect of obedience and energetic endeavor. And no one gains admittance to him except through servanthood. God lacks nothing, but you are needy. It's a beautiful possibility to become attention rather than to be the victim of reaction. So many things in life may be a trigger for reaction. The way to meet all of those things is by being the eye of God, by being vision, by becoming attention. And with it, breath. Remember your breath. That will help to awaken attention. That will shift the level of your experience. That will bring you into presence. And in presence, you will see. Evola.